We're shedding our masks and breaking down walls. Hell, we may even drop our drawers. That's right. We're Going Commando with Angela and Dana. Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is Angela DiMarco, and we are Going Commando. Going Commando is a little show that we put together because we understand the importance of authenticity. We understand the importance of being who you are, embracing that, bringing it to the world, and celebrating it together. And that's what we're doing. And we hope by doing so, we give you permission to do the same. So here we are. Take two. Good morning.
Good morning. I know. Little technical difficulties, but hey, we spared you guys, welcome. So you're welcome. You're welcome. So today we are here to talk with a good friend of ours, Dennis Pitocco, who is just an incredible human being doing incredibly human good things. And we're so honored to be friends with him, be in his circle, just like watch the magic that he spins unfold. And during this interim season 6.5, when we were thinking about who do we want to hang out with, who would be fun, Dennis was top of the list. So Dennis, thank you so much for coming on to Commando with us. Thank you for getting silly. And
yeah, there's your warning. Thanks for getting silly. Speaking of silly, this is when I chime in. So Dennis, some of our previous episodes with some of our peeps, we've done some silly things. We played a little Barry Manilow versus Eddie Vedder game, a little two truths and a lie. And I thought it would be fun just to play a little would you rather. Angela, when we were waiting for you to come on, I explained to Dennis what would you rather is, and I'm going to explain it to our audience in case you've never been to summer camp or never had a sleepover or never, existed as a Gen X kid. But would you rather? It's a game that it's just for conversation that you could ask yourself: would you rather this or would you rather this? Like, would you rather have no feet or no teeth? Whatever it is. And they're as silly as that, but they can really dive into the depths of just conversation and give you the opportunity to think. So here's what I want to do. Just keep it a little bit of organization within the chaos. We're just going to do a couple of them because we have so many other things to talk about. We have so many. Dennis, for those of you watching, Dennis does so many amazing things. So we're just going to play a little bit of Would You Rather. So we'll do a question for Dennis, a question for Angela, a question for Dana. I have a list of about 60 questions. And so we'll just do it like this. One of you or Dennis, you'll pick a number. We'll do that one, and we'll chime in. Like we'll give our 2 cents, but it's yours for the taking. You ready? 1 to
Great.
60.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Pick a number.
All right, number 7, please.
Oh, it was so like game showy. I'll take number 7, please.
You sure you want to see what's behind door number 2? Okay, number 7.
7 for 1,000.
What is, all right, would you rather sleep for a whole year or not sleep at all for a year? Ooh.
Oh, that's so easy. Number 1, first answer, sleep for a whole year. I feel like I could use that right now.
Oh, well, after the pilgrimage,
that's exactly.
We could talk about that.
That's my point, Angela.
So let me ask you a question, Dennis. Mm-hmm. What would it be like if you slept, like you sleep for a year? So now all of a sudden it's August 2025. Like, is there a lot of catch up?
Yeah, I would have said 3 months ago, absolutely. And I'm going to have to reference our Camino experience for just a minute here. Just dropping off the face of the earth for 2 months and realizing when we came back, everything's still here. The website's still up. We're still running. Nobody left the arena, really. So that's why I was quick to answer sleep for a year. Number 1, I think I could use the rest after 500 miles. But second of all, I don't think I'd worry about FOMO, which so many people do. And again, I wouldn't have said that 2 or 3 months ago, to be honest with you. But it's changed me.
Was it hard? And we'll get into the whole thing, but I just want to ask a quick question. Was it difficult to disengage, like that process before you started the pilgrimage?
Spent way too much getting ready for it, which made it easier. But it took probably 2 weeks to truly unplug as I was trying to do. It was easy to get away from all the technology, but just to truly get the mind and get rid of all what I call those Post-it notes that are stuck in your brain. and I had to dump them out. So a little week and a half, 2 weeks, and they were gone.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Do you mind if I call an audible here real quick? Can we put these aside and continue this conversation? Because I think it's important to bring clarity to it.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah,
sure,
and then, as we wrap it up, we'll throw a little, would you rather have 100 ducks the size of an elephant or 100 elephants the size of a duck? That was my favorite.
I was worried about a hard question coming up. Thank you.
We'll save that for later. Okay, so why don't you, for everybody, to provide a little clarity, Dennis, why don't you let everybody know exactly what we're talking about this thing that led you to unplugging?
Thank you. I'll just give you the brief overview. 5 weeks ago, my wife, Allie, and I came to the end of the Camino de Santiago. And for those that don't know it, it's a trail that runs across Spain and France. It's been going on for about 1,000 years. The official trail or walk is about 500 miles. It took us 40 days, 1.3 million steps to cover it.
So cool.
And to many, it's a spiritual pilgrimage. To many, it's escaping something. To many, it's changing lives. To us, it was truly an opportunity to see what would happen if we simply unplugged from everything. Because who is blessed enough, and we really mean that word blessed, to be able to unplug for 2 months and disconnect from everything. So we treated it with the respect of the opportunity. But when I say it changed our lives, it changed me, it changed us. We are different people, and in a positive way.
Yeah.
Just for logistics, just so I understand. So you're obviously in one destination, you walk to the other destination, and obviously they're not making you walk home. I get that part. But you're leaving everything that you like, you're leaving your phone, you're leaving all communication, you're leaving that stuff behind, and you're just carrying your bare essentials.
Right. You're carrying your bare essentials, and it's not a walk in the park. This is the first day is up a 7,000 foot mountain into the Pyrenees Mountains. So from day one, you're talking about terrain that we haven't seen before. We live in Florida. There are no mountains. But seriously, you're up, you're down, you're in rain, you're in sleet, you could be in snow. I mean, this is the changing conditions over those 40 days. So it's a different kind of walk. And just to be clear, yes, all known means of communication are gone. They're available to you if there's an emergency, obviously. But if you're being true to yourself, and many people are and many people aren't, you don't touch any of that.
Yeah.
And then how did you guys sleep? Did you camp or
No, I think the original pilgrim idea, if you read about the history of this, the original pilgrim would typically put everything they own on their back and then find a place on the side of the road or in a people that backpack across Europe, they have all these little huts they stay in, and they're made for that, and they're cheap. That would have been us 30 years ago, but that's not us today. So, But here's what we did. Now, this sounds a little bit odd, given what I just said. We decided, after my wife did all the research, we don't want anything, and I mean anything, to spoil our pilgrimage because we're in a hurry to find a bed. Many people we met were in a hurry to find a bed at the next village because these places fill up. And if they don't have a bed, you might have to walk another 5 miles, and you just walk 20.
Yeah.
We didn't want to have that rush. We didn't want to have the carrying everything we own because it's hard. And if we had all those, it would take away from what we were hoping to be just a spiritual, eye-opening experience. So we did it the current way, which means we booked all of our accommodations. The good news is we knew where we were staying. The bad news is we knew we had to walk that many miles every day. We couldn't just stop when we were tired. And the other thing we did, there are services, including donkeys, that will carry your luggage ahead. So for the 35 days we were actually walking, it's a 40-day pilgrimage, but there were some breaks in between. But for the 35 days we were walking, every day our luggage was picked up in the morning and it showed up where we were going. So it was just the two of us.
Oh, that's nice.
And essentials in our black backpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes the most sense. I mean, yeah. Yeah. For the kind of experience you were looking to have,
right.
It wasn't, let me just become one
and you're not trying to prove
exactly.
experience. You're not trying to prove anything.
Exactly right. We wanted to absorb it all without any distractions.
Yeah.
Oh, how beautiful.
One of the
How
things that you said
beautiful.
in your article about it that I first of all, I wrote a couple things down that I want to bring up. But one of the things you talked about was like the community, the sense of community, the sense of bonding. And I was able to connect with that because I think about some of the group trips that I've done, like the first time I was in Israel, like everybody goes together. So you do these things together. You climb these mountains together. You go through these caves together, and you become so bonded and so connected. And like, because you would never do that over coffee at Starbucks because you don't connect like that. And so I could imagine what your relationship to yourself, to your wife, to the people around you from day 1 to day 40. How many people were walking together?
On average, it changes out there, but according to the numbers we got, around 3,000 people a day were coming onto the Camino. Now, that sounds like a lot. Remember, this is a 500-mile journey. So, and based on when you leave in the morning, we were out there at 5:36 in the morning because we wanted to stay. We didn't want to run into any people.
Oh,
and
okay.
We were darn good at that whenever we saw people, because over time, and my wife laughs about this because I said I was actually, I shouldn't say irritated. I was bothered whenever I heard someone else talking because I wanted, it was interrupting what we began to call our symphony of silence. So we started having a rule. And whenever we hear somebody coming, we would stop, do whatever we wanted to do, let them pass and get some good distance because they were interrupting it.
But you really protected your energy.
We were trying. Now, in the early days, we didn't do that. But as time went on, we're saying, wait a minute, this is really special. But on average, that's about how many people this time of the year were starting the walk.
I was under the impression that you went with like a group, like there was like
No.
So when you connected, so the bonding was really just specifically to your wife and yourself.
That, and when we went into the villages, at the end of each day, you'll stop along the way, like between the second village and the third, there might be 6 little stops you make on your way to your destination. And that's where people come together. They want coffee, they want a drink, they might have put Band-Aids on. And that's where you realize you've got people from around the world, people you've never met. And yet we've already got one thing in common. We get it. We know what we're doing here. We're all heading for that place called Santiago, the Camino, the end of the Camino. And so it's like you're one with each other immediately. It doesn't matter what nobody asks you, where'd you go to school? Where do you go to college? What do you do? Those questions
Who are you voting for?
Exactly.
You're like, you got a Band-Aid? Oh, you still alive? Awesome.
and that's where the Camino family crept in, because very often if somebody sees you either on the side of a path or in a village and you're sitting there and you may be dealing with a foot injury, they immediately come to, can we help? Is there anything we can do for you?
Beautiful.
I love that.
It's just remarkable. It just, I don't know. The purity of it all was just remarkable.
If you don't mind, I wrote down, you made 9 points of the wisdom that you gained. And I'm not going to read the blurbs. I'm just going to read the points. And a couple of them really spoke to me, but I want you to speak to the one that speaks loudest to you, if that's okay. Okay. So the wisdom gained: the power of simplicity and minimalism, transformative community and connection, growth through discomfort. That's the one that spoke to me. The power of presence, life cycles and perseverance, purpose and intention. Here's a good one: letting go of control.
Ooh.
We're all like,
This is where the convulsions kick in.
Spiritual and philosophical deepening, and rediscovering authenticity. And before you answer the question, or before you speak to the one that speaks the loudest to you, you also added a quote that I have to share, because it's anybody who is on this journey, whether it be the literal journey that you are on or the spiritual journey, this will speak to them. Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you could be who you were meant to be in the first place. Dennis, this shit changed you, Dennis. Tell us.
Right. There's
so fucking profound.
When you go back in history, there's BC. There was Dennis BC, which is before Camino. Then there's Dennis AC, which is after the Camino. And I mean that. People have already said that. We've only been back 5 weeks, and people we know, professionally, personally, they're saying something's different with you guys.
Yeah.
And isn't that nice? It's affirmation. Now we got to work hard at keeping it and not falling back into old patterns. But I think, among all those things, wisdom we gain, it's just the simplicity of it all. It's stripping yourself down to your authentic self, getting comfortable with that. You mentioned a key word, letting go of control, peeling away and leaving behind what really doesn't matter, and then deciding what are you going to take forward that does matter. Now, I'm going to emphasize one thing. Where in your life does anybody have time to do what I just said? Because you got to take all the noise away, all the news, all the noise, all the disruptions, all the daily lives, all the family. So with that symphony of silence I keep mentioning, we had so much time, the two of us, and then sometimes we walk for hours and not say a word of just our own deep thinking. And that's where that stuff starts to surface.
It does.
And I just kept saying, wow. Yeah, I kept saying, wow. She said, what are you talking? I said, wow, I've never had time to think about this stuff, or I haven't chosen the time. It's scary because some people are afraid to stop the music because then they've got to listen to it. We didn't have that experience. I wasn't afraid of it. I just didn't understand what the notes were until I took the time.
Some people, that's the hardest thing, is that not having the awareness that you're not doing it. Everybody truly believes that they're at their best at every moment. I mean, that's what we achieve, right? Right now, I think I'm at my best, but in a year from now, I'm going to be like, I didn't know shit. It's a constant unraveling. And you gave yourself this gift of understanding. I personally don't think you're going to lose it, because once you know what you know, and once you've experienced the unfolding of awareness, you want more of it. You start to like, I look at every situation. I'm like, what is it? What is there to be gained from this experience? How can I be present in this moment? Like, those things do not leave no matter what, that's so awesome.
Let me give you one good example of that, if you don't mind. We do this thing called the Friendship Bench every week. We've been doing it for 4 years. You ladies have been on it, and it's a bunch of people getting together for an hour or so. And, we throw something to the crowd and we just see where it goes. Something happened when I came back, the very first Friendship Bench, because I had been away from it for 2 months, which I'd never been away from the Friendship Bench because I'm the guy that's supposed to host it. Well, I had some good people step in for me. I came back and the host for that day said, I want you to be my guest. Now, I've never been a guest on my own thing. And I said, boy, that's just perfect. So for the first time, I was in the hot seat, and we opened the door for people to ask whatever questions they wanted to ask about our Camino, because that was obviously what happened. And I said to my wife afterwards, that is the first time I ever realized, number one, I'd never been a guest. Number one, people said they didn't really know me until that discussion. And here I've been talking to them for 4 years. There were tears. There were interesting questions. There were people that asked to talk to me afterwards because they wanted to peel back the layers. And I said, I think that's what they mean by pulling back the kimono and letting go a little bit, which is I didn't realize I was keeping that little bit of a, shield until then. Yeah. But now that I've done that, I'm just all over the place with it.
Great.
It's just
great. I mean, it's like, this is kind of like where Dana and I, this is what the whole thing with Commando is. Like, now that we know, we're like, okay, let's talk about that thing. Yeah. Let's talk about that thing, and let's just be out there, because it helps people to isn't it liberating?
Oh, wow. It's liberating, because it just brings this whole new energy to what I do. This discussion this morning would have been different if we had it 2 months ago. I know it would. Dana, you touched along the word authenticity. I need to connect the dot with that, because if there's one thing I brought back with me, it was reimagining the relationships we have, both friends and family, in that circle, and tightening that circle, and reinvesting that time in real friends versus what we've always called the pond skippers, which are people that they kind of skip across the pond and they, how are you? But they don't wait to see how you're really doing, those kind of friends, versus the ones that really want to know how you are. Well, we started circling that group, and we've already shrunk that group. Now it gives us more time to reinvest in the people that are authentic.
Oh, Dennis!
Last time,
Dennis, you did it! Go on.
I feel like I said a magic word there.
Well, because we
anyhow,
know what you're doing. We both have done this.
But I did that, and I took it further. I said, Martha, I'm not stopping. I'm one of 8 children. I have 7 left on this earth. My sister died years ago. But of the 6 other siblings I had, we all live around the country. We grew up in Pittsburgh, but we all left Pittsburgh except for one. I said, I've got relationships with all of them. We're not at odds. We never are, but it's not as close. So I reached out, and I'm happy to say this because I normally wouldn't have said this 2-3 months ago. I reached out to each one of my brothers and sisters, and I'll give you an example. My oldest brother, Dan, I said, Dan, I'm not calling you because I need anything. I'm calling you because you're my brother and I love you. And, we haven't really drifted apart. We just aren't as close as we used to be. And I want you to be more of my life, and I want to be more of your life. And it's going to take both of us. And I don't have any magic wand here. I'm just inviting you to be part of my life, and let's see what we can do with that. And I did with every one of them. It was cathartic to say it. I don't know if any of them ever heard me tell them that I love them. But the invitation was very well received, and I got comments back from all of them. Every single one of them said something back to me afterwards. I don't mean just verbally. I mean by text or email. And we're going to see what we can do with that.
Oh, my God. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Dennis, I got to tell you, the reason I freaked out like a child and started clapping is because, Angela and I, in our own ways, have been through that, where when we've gotten to this point, we've had, an epiphany, an awakening, whatever the hell you want to call it. And we're like, okay, it's time to trim the fat. Mine was the summer of 2021. This was the gallery was in its heyday, and I was dealing with some health, self-imposed, but health things. I was working on regrowing and bringing back the health of my thyroid. And I was a mess. I shut the doors to the gallery, and the entire community that I had built, because the community was based on what can Dana do for you, but you cannot, there's no reciprocity. And I shut the doors, and I trimmed all the fat, and I ended all the relationships. I shut it all down. And then I rebuilt myself. I rebuilt my health. And then one by one, I picked who was authentic, who believed in reciprocity, the relationships that were symbiotic, and rebuilt myself, my life, and my very, very, very small circle. We did it with FindUniquelyYou.com, because we thought we had this huge community. But again, there was a lack of reciprocity, lack of symbiosis, lack of authenticity, in a global sense. And we just, boom, I remember Angela gave me permission. I was like, you're fired. And now it's me and Angela, like this, like the infinity sign, right? It's me and Angela, and anybody who aligns with us, who sees the way we see and is willing to connect and be open and authentic, like yourself. Maybe we couldn't have had this conversation 3 months ago, but we're having it now, Dennis.
Let me tell you the final push. Angela, you said, was it hard to kind of deprogram all this and kind of get going? As we were leading up to the Camino, and my wife had been doing all the planning, we were planning this for you. In fact, we planned to do it in 2020, but then came the pandemic, so we had to push it back 4 years. We're leading up to it, and I was still struggling with, am I going to, we've got 1,200 writers on our site. Am I going to let them down because I disappeared? We stopped publishing for 2 months. And, I started struggling with just commitments. And we walked into a coffee shop in the Tampa Bay area. It's one of those local ones because we try to give back to the local community. And I walked up to the counter, never been there before, ordered coffee, and I looked down, and there's a card sitting there in a little card holder, not a business card, but it said, self-care isn't selfish. And I said, that's the final push right there. And I grabbed that. I just grabbed that, and then I share it with people. I said, remember, you can't be good to other people unless you're good to yourself first. And we all know that. But that little reflection that I happened to walk into that shop on that day and see that card, and I needed that. I needed somebody to tell me it was okay.
Yes. And for our listeners who may not know, you speak about the 1,200 writers that you have in publishing and stuff. Can you just tell us a little bit about 360 Nation?
Yes. 360 Nation is kind of it's morphed from something that was a hobby 12 years ago. And what it is, it's 3 things. It's publishing division, which is Biz Catalyst 360. We've got about 1,200 writers around the world. We've been doing that for over a decade now. We've got Good Works 360, which a lot of people don't know about, but it's mentioned on the site. It's our labor of love for nonprofits. And what it is, it's a foundation that we set up years ago, and its entire purpose is to provide free consulting to any good nonprofit anywhere in the world.
Wow.
And we do that behind the scenes, it's all virtually, but it's pretty neat. And given the pandemic, it became even more important, the virtual end of that. So we've touched lives around the world from that. And the third thing we do is what's called 360 Nation Studios, which is really, well, we take all the good stuff we do and try to bring people into it. Dana, you've been on some of our stuff. Angela, you've been on some of our stuff. We produce feature-length, what we call feature-length productions now on YouTube. And it's all under the spirit of what we founded our whole thing on. And that's probably what separates 360 Nation from virtually any other business out there is everything we do for good. There's no profit. There's no advertising. There's no bottom. We just do it because we enjoy it. We love it. And we didn't realize how important that was until recent years where people are searching for something more. And we think we're finally getting that door to humanity open a little.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's why we align with you. And we have Going Commando on there, and we love what you're doing. We love the community that you fostered, Friendship Bench, the Instead talks are amazing. Dana's was amazing. All the people that you get are brilliant, and just you've surrounded yourself with good humans.
Yeah.
Wow. We're very, very blessed to be able to do that.
I'm looking forward to seeing how all of this evolves as you've evolved, because now you're going to take everything that you are now, and it was awesome before, and you're going to bring it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that evolution. And do you guys mind?
No.
Okay, can we shift
one?
a little Would You Rather?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do 52. Oh, Jesus.
Because it's just funny. Would you rather never be able to close your eyes or never be able to close your mouth?
Eyes, because I could lubricate my eyes if I have to, but I don't want to I don't want anything going in there. It's not an open invitation.
Okay.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to pick it up. I don't know why I looked. 19. Okay. Would you rather be followed by a band wherever you go or by someone narrating your life? Oh, narrate. I want to hear what I'm doing because sometimes I don't even believe it.
That was a setup there, I think.
Oh.
Dennis, pick another number.
Oh, boy. Okay. 10.
Would you rather be 11 feet tall or 9 inches tall?
11. Easily 11.
And when the aliens come, they're big. So when they come, they're going to think you're a leader.
Yes. I'll be signing a professional basketball contract next week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. What about you, Angela?
Yes. I think I'd rather be 9 inches tall.
Little, right?
I like the idea of observing, being able to observe.
Get out of places quick. Oh. I got to tell you, I mentioned this one before, and I just think it's so funny, so I'm just going to read it. Would you rather have 100 duck-sized elephants or 1 elephant-sized duck?
Oh, 100 duck-sized elephants. How cute
that would be really cute.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
What are you going to do the elephants?
Oh. Yes, I want to go out in my neighborhood and walk my elephant in the morning.
Oh, my God. We used to have, it's been destroyed because we had it years ago, a huge rubber ducky blow up like the ones you put on your lawn, but it was like 10 feet tall with a Santa cap on it. So that's what I envisioned. That would be, you would have a duck that size. That would be pretty cool. I'd throw that thing on the lake, ride it. Okay. Should we do one more and then wrap it up and be grown-ups? Oh.
Well, I do want to just, before we do one more, let's do one more, but then I want to talk about one other thing with Dennis. So do one more.
Dennis, pick a number.
14.
Skip it. This is the one I mentioned to you before about the shrimp taste flavored toothpaste.
Okay, how about 27?
27. Would you rather have a unibrow or no eyebrows at all?
Unibrow.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course.
Yeah, I guess it's like weird if
Same.
you can't see, right?
Exactly.
Like if you don't have expression.
Yeah.
Expression. Okay, so Dennis, I just wanted to before we wrap this up, I know that you just published a beautiful work. I'm waiting for my copy. It's Amazon said it's on its way. Can you tell everybody a little bit about your Unsheltered
Sure.
project?
We just launched last week after about 15 months of putting together our book on Amazon. It's called Unsheltered. None of us are home until all of us are home. And like I talked about the difference in 360 Nation and other things, the difference between this book and virtually any other book we can find out there, not just on this topic, but on this topic as well, is two things. Number one, this is not an academic book. The hard part about this book is we decided, we being me and my partner, publisher friend, Peggy Wilms, that we were going to use the strength of Good Works because we have a lot of connections in the nonprofit and the people that serve people. And we were going to put together an anthology unlike any other anthology, which means we wanted real people that live on the street, first of all, to be in this book, telling their story. I'll come back to that. The second group would be people that used to be on the street and somehow found their way into mainstream society. And the third group, which is all obviously a lot of times forgotten, it's people whose family or friends were on the street, and the ripple effect hit the family. The hard part was part one, and that would be people currently living on the street. So I had to learn how to go onto the streets, in this case, Tampa Bay, and sit with homeless people and approach them and feel comfortable and feel safe and get them talking. In the end, that was the joy of this entire project, because I learned very quickly what they wanted. Sure, they want food. Sure, they'd like money. But what they really want is they want to stop being invisible. We made them visible. The other part of this book that I'll bring up is, unlike all other books, it's for good, not for profit. So other than the cost of production, any profits are going right back into the homeless community. Through Good Works, we're going to select some good nonprofits around the world that need the money.
It is such a fascinating perspective, and there's such a stigma with homelessness, such a stigma. So you're transmuting an entire belief system that we have as a society. It's phenomenal.
Well, that's why we called it Unsheltered. I said to Peggy, I don't want to call it homeless, because you say homeless and we all think it's that headline on the front page. It's that caricature of a person. Yeah. Unsheltered gives you a broader, plus it all triggers questions. What do you mean by unsheltered?
Yeah.
So it gave it some, right off the bat, it was a shift, and we wanted to shift the stigma, as you say, and the misconceptions. And
I love your three-pronged approach too. Talk to the families, talk to those who have overcome and those who are there, and sitting down with those who are there. And when you said, the first thing that they want, other than food, other than money, I was like, to be seen. And you said it. You don't want to be invisible.
Because saw me.
Discomfort, they walk right by. You know what I mean? Or they make themselves feel better by throwing them a couple dollars. But
I hear you. And what you two ladies are going to be probably surprised by, if you read the book, you're going to see names in there, people we know on LinkedIn and beyond, people that you never thought, could never imagine were homeless. And they had the courage to come forward and open that kimono once again and tell their story. And that's life-changing. It's just absolutely life-changing.
Oh, I can't wait to get my copy. I can't wait. So it's available on Amazon. I will put a link in the show notes. So all of your access to Dennis's great works, we're going to have links in the show notes. So feel free to connect with Dennis on LinkedIn. Please support the work that he's doing. I'm already thinking of dots I can connect even more so now. And Dennis, I mean, thank you for being with us today. We're just so I feel so good to be in your presence.
Well, thank you very much for that.
It feels so comfortable. Yeah, it's just an incredible.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure for me because, again, I'm not the same person. And it's nice to bring that out.
Yeah. We're like your coming out party, Dennis.
Let me leave you with one last thought. If it's one thing I learned, we both learned on this Camino, among all the things that I don't even know if I wrote about this yet. And it's forget about someday. Do it now.
Yeah.
Just do it. Stop. Yeah, you're going to jump off a cliff. There might be water down there, but jump. Just jump. Somebody will catch you. There are good people out there. Just do it. Because those who wait obviously wish they jumped 20 years later. So let's jump, ladies.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yay,
do it now. Dennis, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And I'm so thrilled to hear about this spiritual, we'll call it awakening, but this metamorphosis, and I cannot wait to see. You'll have to tell me about it in a different way because I'm banned on LinkedIn, but I want to see how it affects all of your works and continues to ripple out to all of us. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And all
right,
Angela, you got something to say?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay.
I have one other thing to say before I close. I know our episodes on here on Going Commando are evergreen, but I'm just too excited. I can't wait. Dana, we just are doing a pre-sale for Dana's amazing book called A Woman's Journey. As she's holding it up, it is an anthology of all of her works, all of her paintings across from the very beginning, and it is absolutely stunning. It is the most beautiful gift, 172 beautifully printed pages of all of her work. And then she does these write-ups for each painting. Some are hilarious, some are emotional, some are just like bangs, like sigh, I'll grow back.
Well, I took a stroll through that, as Dana knows, and Angela, yesterday, not the book, but the preview of the book. And as I said to Dana, the images tell a story. Yeah. I mean, the words are nice, but the images tell a story. And that's powerful.
It is really, really beautiful. So if you go to phenom-publishing.com, you can click and learn all about it. And if you're watching this episode before September 15th, we're doing a pre-sale that includes a Prezi in the mail and a signed copy of our limited edition print run. Moving forward down the future, you can still go to phenom-publishing.com to get a copy of it. But we're doing a special launch edition, and Dana's going to be doing a gallery showing in Soho, a book signing, and maybe a possible book tour in the winter. So lots of good stuff happening, but definitely check it out.
Do what Dennis says. Do it now.
Do it now.
Do it now.
All right, everybody. So with that, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.